Well,
Marco?
thank you for having me, Marty. It's always a pleasure. A little bit about my background. I had spent a significant amount of time with Goldman Sachs mergers and acquisitions, about 10 years of my life. The last 10 years after that, I became part of the board in my family office. It's a fourth generation. Last century, the first half of the century, my family amounted its wealth in the automotive industry and two-wheel sector. In essence, we were among the families that invented the cars, invented the motorcycles and the engines that were being used for outboard engines in boats, as well as in the aviation sector. The second half of the century, we moved into real estate, where we predominantly built towns like Marbella in the south of Spain, Biarritz in the south of France, and so on. Today, as I took over the company, I focused on technology, integrating technologies into basically everything that we have done throughout the last 125 years. In this essence, the title of this conversation is Web3 and the future of your companies. And I'm going to start by giving you some insights of what we are, based on thematic research, understanding about the markets. Today, we are expecting in the next 10 years, in these 2020s, that 50% of the companies that are already listed in the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 will be dropped. The main reason that that will happen, and I know to some extent some of you guys are skeptical about this, is the fast growing technologies and the adaptation period that a lot of these companies are taking in order to be able. Web3 is an upgrade to what we already know as Web2, which is your websites, your www.mycompany.coms in the world. But this takes it to the next level because it allows you, and what you're looking at the screen here, is create by using technologies such as blockchain, which were topics that started about 15 years ago with the birth of Bitcoin and NFTs and so much many cryptocurrencies in the world, and it created a hype. Today, that hype, it's some people believe in it, some other people do not. Web3 arises from all of this, and it upgrades all of your e-commerce systems, allowing you to, in real time, real life, be able to show what your companies are doing. In this specific case, we reinitiated the manufacturing, what is also being called advanced manufacturing plants, where we work with all the suppliers that you know of the world, the Brembos, the Pirellis, Continental, Michelins, whoever does my composite, fiber carbon, to bring to market our most recent product, which is the Soriano EV line, which started out with these models. Today, we are back in production. I'm very proud to say that again. We've relocated ourselves in Italy, in the north, in Monza, right next to one of our competitors, which is Guzzi, a motorcycle that does not really made it to the United States, other than Vespa or Ducati, and so on. Our other competitors are the four Japanese brands that we're all aware of: Kawasaki, Yamaha, and so on. This is a motorcycle that it offers all the traditional feelings, emotions of anybody who ever ridden a bike, because it has double engines. This is our engines. It has a gearbox system and it's electrified, which is what people don't understand how that is even possible, but with today's technology, that is possible. What this vehicle has that is very unique is that it has its own BMS and ECU. Basically, it has its own computer system that we can upgrade, we can update from anywhere in the world. Our Web3, and I happen to have my CTO right next to on my right-hand side, is Alex. Alex is a very important man, believe it or not. Was the man that Bill Gates contracted in order to take down Netscape when that was the competition back 30 years ago. Today, we're lucky to have him work with our family and all of the companies that are related to our family. And I have asked him to be here to demonstrate to you in real time how Web3 can improvise, optimize your businesses all across the board. We also happen to have a fashion company, which is basically what you're looking at. In a book that I wrote and published last year called Entrepreneurial Madness, because I believe you have to have madness in order to start out new companies in today's environment, allows you to showcase your product in the prototype phase. For anyone who has ever created, invented, or manufactured anything here, prototyping is what takes the longest, costs the most, and gives you the biggest headaches because you're creating something that you have no idea if the market is going to take it, accept it, buy it, use it, culturally have it. In this case, we can jumpstart these processes and prototype to all of our millions and millions of followers around the world so that they get a taste of what could potentially be the Soriano brand of products. Again, this is all part of Web3, and this you can see that we are showcasing videos. You can interact directly with the avatar. That book that I wrote, I call this the gamification of your business. Now, some of you may have heard this terminology, and it's basically taking your business, making it into a game, because we have to think about the consumers of the future. What happened when I took over my company, my dad, my grandfather were stuck in the traditional behavior of consumption, how things are bought. That is no longer the case. I can tell you from my own children that games like Fortnite have made me spend a fortune every year, where I came from the generation that probably spent $100 for a given cassette or CD or whatever game we were playing in those days. So the gamification of your business is a must. Again, and I re-emphasize, if you do not adapt early enough to these changes, you will not be relevant to the consumers in the future. And that is that. There is an element of tradition that is very important, but it is a huge element of advanced technologies that must be adhered to your current businesses. And I'm sure that with the help of people like Alex, that we have him today here and not in the cave upstate New York where I keep him, just so that he can do the work, that he can explain to you how that is possible. There is transactional ways of promoting your businesses. This is another thing that I keep on repeating to people. Why don't you have a payment system that is enabled to accept cryptocurrency, regardless? If you can take it, exchange it, cash it into dollars, pounds, euros, why don't you have it? Today, we have systems that operate on a heartbeat. My communities, all the communities and a lot of the guys that are managing technologies for me want to be paid in cryptocurrency. I don't have to wire dollars anymore. I have literally to send money on Coinbase, companies that are listed in our exchanges, to send them payments in USDT or Bitcoin or Ethereum. Why are your companies not doing so yet? It already exists. It's been here, it's been there, it's been upgraded. I would always suggest people to start looking into adapting into this type of technologies, because otherwise you will be left behind. Another way of looking at this, for example, from the fashion perspective, as we are in the fashion world, you know, we are designers and creators, but how do you get to your distributors or your end client? This e-commerce allows you to take a look at the new collections before we start fashion weeks around the world. But for those of you guys that are fashionistas, well, this is a better way of producing, creating a runway show that is not cost you $1 million, but less, but be able to see in real life what you are building. Not only that, in labs or in studios like this, you're able to reroute through the e-commerce and be able to sell your product directly to the client. Interact with them on social media, and create any type of reward point systems, whether it's a crypto based or a point system like you are familiar with, like most of us, Delta Airlines and so on. So in this hub is one of the ways of understanding how money is being made. It was mimicked from the way our Federal Reserve Bank makes money and distributes money throughout the world, but it's for crypto, where you can create your own crypto, your own reward point system, and create fidelization programs for your clients. I have brought a magazine, Fashion Life magazine, because we're in the printing business as well. And everybody keeps saying, well, this is a dying business. Okay, no, it's not, because you can optimize it. So if you're looking at this magazine, there's pictures everywhere, advertising, and people pay for that. This is one of our pictures from our, you can take one. There's an app that we've invested in called ARIA, A-R-I-A. Allows you to basically scan the picture and interact with. This is what we call AR. Is anybody familiar with AR? So when you're reading a newspaper, when you're reading any type of magazine and there needs to be some kind of interaction, all you have to do is open the app, scan the photos, and automatically interact with it, in this case. So imagine a presidential debate and a picture of the president on the newspaper. All you got to do is scan it to be able to pull out that video from that presidential debate and be able to use it. This is what AR is doing to our businesses, and this is saving the magazine business.
It's like a QR code?
It's embedded in there. It's an AR. QR would be this, which routes you to a Web 2, Web 3. This is more Web 3 capacities now. So can optimize pages, pictures, and you can photo scan. You can take a photocopy of those pages and give it to a friend, and that has the same elements of what I'm doing with apps.
And how do people get these magazines?
They're online. So Fashion Life magazine is distributed all over Europe, and now we're distributing in the United States to hotels. So
It
if you
just
have
can't be
hotels, you want to be on this, let me know.
It can't be just any picture. It has to be one specifically Web3 as you just.
Our
did,
system.
right? Yeah, yes.
In this case, it's our system. So
Oh, okay.
we started out with our own companies,
Yeah,
optimizing them, and then taking them to show people, well, you can do the same.
that's great.
Forbes magazine, Esquire, GQ magazine. I mean, this is interacting with the client. This is what people are looking for today. You can take a link out of that, send it to your friend, and not only you have the picture, but you also have the video attached to that interview or particular publication that was being done.
Very cool.
So, yes, miss.
Are you able to quantify how much of that driving your business into the online factor is actually turning into sales?
Yes, yes, and so before I answer this in more specifics, so we bought a telecommunications company similar to Mint, what Ryan Reynolds is right now advertising on. I bought it in April, and now we started out with a base of 50,000 users, clients, and that's my baseline, right? With that baseline, I can go to ag agencies, and they pay me because now I can give them data. For example, on the 50,000, I know how many are women, men, where are they located, what is the average phone call per day, and what's the duration of that phone call. So we have a system where advertising dollars pays us to pay the client for listening to an ad of 3 seconds. Where we inserted this ad, and this is the key, is when your phone rings. So anytime you call someone and instead of hearing that ringtone, you'll hear an ad for 3 seconds. For doing so, there's a fidelization program where we pay you money, and you can track this money as well that you can then reuse within the system to pay for your next monthly bill, for example. Today's telecommunications in the United States, especially AT&T, T-Mobile, whatever you're using is extremely expensive. It has cannibalized the system. What used to be 1 year contract became 2 because you want a very nice phone. You need to also finance it throughout that time. This in Europe is not the case. In Europe, you pay 100 euros for the whole year, and you have the unlimited data, unlimited minutes, and the limited capabilities that a phone company in the United States offers you. So it's just a matter of time for that to merge over and wipe out a lot of these big companies. So MVNOs, which is what we own, is a mobile network operator, virtual network operator that allows you to have the same speed, the same functionalities that AT&T, T-Mobile, or anybody else can offer you on your phone. It's just a matter of really branding and trust.
You like embedded finance?
Yes.
Let's talk about future pay.
Now we do some of that too. We're involved. We're well diversified, and a lot of the technologies that we have been, like I said, not only embedded but integrated into optimizing all of our businesses and portfolios. And I can tell you that we have optimized up to 30 to 40% client base and revenue mode in our companies. So it does help. And you don't need to reinvent the wheel. The technology exists. It's just a matter of, in this case, we have a technology that is a SaaS model. Easily, we can take a look at your companies and just embed them into what already exists, and you're in business with a Web3 capacity that nobody else has. And that's an advantage.
So basically it's like almost like a Shopify solution? That's you're like Web 3.0, it's like what Shopify does for stores. You're doing it, you're Web 3.0ing stores and companies.
Yeah, well, Shopify will charge you, what, 3-4% for every transaction that you do. If you're transacting euros to dollars, because we're a European company as well as an American company, we'd lose on that. And we also look on banking fees. By the time you finally get your money, you lost 20% of what should have been. And that's an issue, and that's not the problem here. Yeah.
What's your fee structure?
It's a SaaS model. You pay the SaaS model to the company and you make 100% of your revenue.
Well, the Web3 differs from typical Shopify or any other centralized e-commerce models in a way that you actually engage with the community. You basically turn every user into a gamer, per se. They interact with your brand, with your digital assets, and you build a community in the point of view that you know who is coming to you, you know how to interact with them, you know their digital identities, and so on and so forth. And digital identities is directly linked to their wallets. So you reward them. So they constantly, instead of you paying advertisements to Facebook and hoping to reach your audience, you're actually reaching your audience and you rewarding them
in real time.
In real time. And that money that they earn, they
earn money or tokens or?
They earn it's a great question, because you can actually, we have a tool and we have a service, blockchain as a service, where you can actually create your branded token, or you actually can create your currency.
It's just cash.
You can
Just
actually
US dollars.
create your currency, which is linked to your stable coin. You can create liquidity pools with stable coins and any other financial instruments you might think of. So today you can create a wrap token to Ethereum, let's say token, ERC20, or you can actually create it your new branded currency. And it's up to you to create your own public blockchain, like a Bitcoin, which you can. They have a capacity. It's a little bit more costly.
Show them what we're doing with the UBS Arena in Belmont. This is unofficial
So this is just a
and very
project.
private, but we're gonna show
project
you
in-
what UBS Arena, which opened up in Belmont, New York, and Brooklyn, if you guys are familiar with, some would say it's Queens. Queens, I know. I knew there was a Queens guy. Yeah.
It's Nassau County.
It's working already on using our Web3 services. And there's gonna be all around Belmont, an open shopping mall as well. So all the different brands
I'm just gonna go.
are basically using our system. Yes,
Do you need an issuing bank when you're actually issuing credit?
when we're issuing credit, do we need a bank?
Well,
Which,
yeah, do you have to have a sponsored bank, like Cross River Bank?
I mean, all of our businesses are with regular banks. We bank with regular banks. We don't bank like our own currency.
That's why the question, yes, you financing within the system as opposed to the consumer spending cash.
Correct. So you'll have your bank account connected to this system. And as you transact, it just goes directly to your bank, to his bank, it's bank to bank. There's no,
So you're not extending credit.
You wanna go to
No.
Valley Village?
Okay.
no. Yeah, go into the village. This is basically, the Valve Village is what's being built around the UBS arena. This is now happening. It has
It's
not
still
been,
in the process.
it's
of
in the
building.
process, it has not been presented to people yet. But it's creating a open area shopping mall and it mimics what will be built. So again, this goes back to the prototyping phase or the pre-sale phase where people can already interact with the brands. They can already interact with the products. In this case, we have Gucci. Let's go inside Gucci. This avatar is wearing Soriano fashion, but we're still gonna go into the Gucci store.
Gucci store sells Soriano as well.
Yeah,
So,
Yes,
so
madam.
just make sure I understand, you're basically, I'm gonna use the word force, but excuse my term, forcing people to go from media into the virtual reality world.
It's not forcing, it's
forcing.
basically transforming your internet website.
That's a better word, I apologize.
Yeah.
It's
Forcing is the right
transforming your
word.
internet
Yeah,
website
forcing is,
into 3D space, which is social. Where you can be presented with avatar, people can communicate with you through avatar. You can actually have normal means of communications like video chat or text chat.
Right, so you can be in there with a bunch of friends and they're saying, buy this, buy that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can shop together.
20, and it's great because it's 24/7, 365 degrees.
Wow, I
So you don't have to worry about the physical location. If your employee got sick, if your employee is on vacation, if your employee doesn't want to come to work. This virtual digital world, which is not forced,
Mhm.
is optimizes your business so that it's open at all times. And the product, the e-commerce that you have already built, because all businesses have it, or they should, it's already embedded there. So it automatically goes to wherever your logistics department is, your warehousing is, and it shoots out. It's like Amazon on crack.
It's
Let's call it.
essentially, you can create digital twins and present them at your websites. You
Right.
can embed it with digital twin and really retain your customers. In a way, you are the inventor of your own game. Because you know your business the most. Either you create a game to find different things and reward customers.
How long does it take you to set up?
It's actually fairly fast if you'll be surprised.
Half a day, 2 days?
No,
half hour?
Depends.
3-6 months, and it could be up to 9 months, depending on the level of
Complexity.
the complexities. Let's not say that we can do this right. And then we also, for example, real estate. Real estate, you can set up, and a lot of companies, I heard a couple of companies down in Miami are using this virtual world now to sell apartments. Well, this could be 24/7, your system.
Queens,
Because I wanted to pay.
No, it's,
No, they're good.
because NHL looking at the ways to
Yeah.
increase their sales. And one of their problems is they're sitting on the wealth of digital content
Yeah.
that people would love to consume, and they don't know how
Well,
to
go
consume.
inside. So in
So
the,
you can actually create digital NFTs, you can create the NFTs of the best shots. They can watch the game together.
So let
literally.
me paraphrase this. So in the case of the NHL, the team, the Islanders, which play out of the UBS arena, for those of you from New York, and so on, they need to work with each one of their players to monetize them, right? Because these contracts with these players aren't anymore what they used to be. It's millions and millions of dollars. So they're looking for every possible way of monetizing merchandise, monetizing who they are, monetizing NFTs, creating cryptocurrency reward point systems within their existing client base, which is phenomenal, but physical spaces have limitations. You can only fit up to 20, 50,000 people, Madison Square Garden. But if you have a show, if you have an artist that has 5 to 10 million people following them around the world, then you can tap into that as well. So your monetization process is now limited to the space physically.
Also,
So what about companies that are based on scarcity of luxury? Like if you go to, one of these other stores, hold on a second, I got this store right here. So let's say you want to go to the store, what's the famous watch store?
Wempe.
Huh?
Wempe.
No, there's the one.
Torino.
There's, what's that?
Or now?
No, it's the watch store that's in,
Harry Winston.
No,
Not as a jewelry.
it's Cartier. So you wanna go to Cartier, do you need an appointment to go to the virtual world or what?
No.
No.
In virtual world, you just come to the space and see which salesperson is available. You can see the little.
Well,
little-
let's say the client, let's say Hermes, right? Hermes in France and Paris. If you need to make an appointment with Hermes, you have to do it a year in advance. If that's the strategy they want to do it in this, as a client, they can do whatever the hell they want.
And imagine you use gamers to be a salespeople.
Yeah,
So, and it will cost you $0 or maybe
Do
$1.
gamers get a commission?
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Are the other players real people that
Yeah.
are on the other
Yeah.
side?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
it's you or somebody you hire in your
But
office
the
to just,
community has to play against each other.
It's your brand is a community.
they interact.
So you're gonna use a lot of influencers, that type of thing,
Anybody.
and lastly, are you connected to any architectural design system?
As well. 3D CAD system, this is how we were able to rebuild, this is our building.
No, I understand, an architect can go in and start designing things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
In their normal system.
yes,
And then you're connected to it.
Yes.
To-
yes.
yeah. We have architects that design, for example,
Alright.
UBS Arena, and we were able to take that architecture CAD
And so
system.
you have game
and-
designers or?
We have-
And a group of people.
Mind you, this is a digital world, so your dimensions could be 1-to-1 in terms of dimensions, so that people can actually map this out, or you can make it bigger.
No, I understand. The designer
Good.
types that you hire are, there are people you train and they're available to be hired
Yes.
by the
The
merchant.
software development team, which is about 20 people right now, 25, will do that for you. And then eventually we can help you get to the point that you can do it yourself. At this point, Soriano Motors can do its own,
No,
Basically,
its
No, but the
own
client-
design,
the
whatever,
client-
internally.
Yeah.
can the client hire
yes.
a designer and the
Yes.
designer can go?
Yes.
We have a community of web
Yes.
designers.
The reason I asked, I was one of the very first Silicon Graphics.
So yes,
200 tubes that I ordered and I filled up.
Yeah.
yes,
And then the movie industry picked it up, then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Silicon Graphics doesn't
Yeah.
exist anymore.
so this is like having a template, right? You have a template and then you work within it as you wish. Wix did that for websites today, right? Anybody can build a website. There's not that complicated, and anybody can interface with an e-commerce,
So
and that's
what's the
okay.
investment opportunity?
We'll talk about that privately. If you're really interested, we'll talk about it privately.
You're coming to dinner,
I'm
right?
just,
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll
Yeah.
have you, Jim.
I'm talking about like the
Just
future, yeah.
background,
There are investment opportunities, but we'd like to have those conversations privately, if that's okay.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
So there is no offering of cable.
And so this is a subsidiary of Soriano Group?
Roomful powers Soriano Motors and every other company within Soriano at this point.
Right, but is it a separate entity from
It's
Soriano?
it's a separate entity, it's a partnership where our investors and users of the system. And Alex, as a CTO, responds for anything that goes wrong with anything here. But there are multiple clients already
Nothing goes wrong.
engaged.
Are you venture capital?
Yes.
funded right now?
We are,
Any big name?
we are.
No, I know.
We are.
Yeah.
You are.
No, we're not a fund,
You are
we're,
funded by venture capital, you're the venture capital.
I'm the VC.
Right.
I'm the family office that seeded most of these things. There are some investors in Roomful prior to what we did with him, but we're structuring something completely new.
So you see that though entirely.
A lot of the things that you have presented here too, yes. Yeah, it's part of our alternative investment portfolio, which is now being integrated all across different platforms.
You got about 5 minutes?
Yeah, so any more questions? Yes, sir.
Did you talk about what the motorcycle is gonna sell for, and how does that compare to?
Can you, the
Competition.
website. So the motorcycle company that we started out seeing the trends in the EV sector, it's by far the best motorcycle, not just because I did it, but because the way we invented it.
No, because.
What we saw in the market today, and we all have seen the scooters, mopeds that we're being flooded with are very cheap products that in essence have cost a huge problem in New York City to start with fires. All relevant fires these days are because of the cheap batteries that they did. And the recent visit that we did to a very important place, I'll name it, I won't name it now, but the battery systems that Samsung, Panasonic, the big companies are doing are being copied by very cheap companies. So when you're thinking you're buying those kinds of batteries and they're being put in your EVs, they're really not. And so we went through the very granular to understand why that is the problem. Obviously, the growth of EVs expected in the United States, as well as in Europe, supersedes anything that we've ever seen. We started this company about 5 years ago, and we're already being compared as the Tesla of motorcycles, the Ducatis of EVs, because these companies are just too big to transform their existing network into an EV set. Like Harley Davidson did a spin-off of LiveWire, couldn't hack it, because Harley Davidson guys are not gonna go electric. It's a really hard transition. So you have to rebrand. Hyundai has Genesis, right? We have Rimac, we have Lucid Motors, based out of Phoenix, Arizona. Today, with PIF, based in Saudi Arabia. Another massive AMP, and you see them all over California. So the trends are not trends just now anymore. It's already happening. Policy, regulation, laws will make us be electric by 2040 and 2050. And I know a lot of people here, because my father is one of those guys, is like, the hell with that, I'm not gonna do it. But guess what? I saw my dad driving a Tesla last year, and I said, so what happened? You're right. This is where we're going. So, the train, you can take it on time, after, you'll miss it, before, you're too early. Take the train on time, because this is the moment.
Are your batteries lithium ion or?
They're lithium ion polymer, not lithium ion like metals only, because the weight, and essentially, and hopefully later on, we have a company that works with copper, and this is another great thing to know, and I'm just gonna give it to you. Copper mining, right now, it's the biggest scarcity in copper is right now. If there's any opportunity with mining of copper, take it, do it, because all electronics in the world are based in copper. And there are opportunities out there that we are looking into the raw material so that we can complete the cycle of what we're doing, what we're building. And with this company, what it does, it uses copper to wraps up around the battery systems, cuts off the circuit, so there's no short circuit, there's no fire, and they can be contained. The problem with lithium ion batteries fires is that they cannot be put out. It takes about 40 times the amount of water to put out a fire like that, because all electricity has to dissipate. And the only way to do it is contain it in sand, close it, or just let it burn out. That is the problem that we have with electric vehicles in the world, when cheap companies are allowed to flood our markets. So I am very proud to say that we're leading the industry with the right way. The retail in Italy, we sold them online, and we're gonna be opening showrooms in LA, Miami, New York, in Texas, San Antonio, Dallas, and Austin in 2024, 2025. So you will be seeing us around for sure.
So this is manufactured in Monza.
Yes. This is a made in Italy product, first one in the market, OEM. And what can I tell you? Ducati is gonna be one of our clients, most likely. It starts at 32 euros, 32,000, and it can go up to 50,000, depends on what kind of bells and whistles you want on it.
So on that note, so I'm assuming that this is customizable by design, color, and all those things that allows for customer preference.
Yes.
Now, how do you accommodate that in your manufacturing, production, and cost? So are you surveying, so using that pilot model, are you surveying your customer base to see where you have accumulation of some designs to reduce your?
No, the designs don't change much. So the three models, basically what you're changing, mostly colors, rims. So we have enough inventory that we can, at this moment.
So you're not adapting the inventory according to the choice?
No.
Choice, and then you have it.
That's another way I started this company, because with the mission and statement that we don't sell you like a distributor or concessionary sells you what they have. we sell you what you want, empowering the client rather than telling him just buy whatever we have left in the market. Yeah.
So you'll change your inventory according to what customer wants.
Yeah. You can go on and make it pink, make it black, make it however you want it. There's no problem. I'm being asked all kinds of crazy stuff. They want it in diamonds, I'll do it in diamonds. It'll just cost you in diamonds. No problem.
Eventually, you can create an NFT representing the bike you want with your own signatures,
Yeah.
and that NFT can be put in the queue for manufacturing.
Yeah.
So you can have a digital asset that you can put in your digital garage because everybody can create their own.
So there's one more magazine here if anybody else wants it. And play with it.
Thank you.
A picture of me and it's a.
There's a user online who wants to use your product.
You can draw it on it and stuff like that. You can be very creative with this. So,
Yeah, so have a chat with us.
instead of
Really
being
happy to
creative
work
with
with you.
Pokemons, so you can create it with real brands and real products. So that's the knowledge.
Fantastic.
Very
Well, great job. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.